We have cilia in our lungs, these little hairs that constantly bring the debris up and out of our respiratory tracts, right? Frogs have them on their tongues that help them draw material back to the back of their mouth, you know. But you can imagine if you didn't have a self-cleaning respiratory system, I mean, those of you that have like air purification systems, right? You ever have to replace that filter? Can you imagine? How long do you think you could really live if your lungs weren't self-cleaning? I mean, that's the kind of design that's, you know, available in all organisms. So we have these amazing systems. This is a flagellum, which is like a cilia, and in eukaryotes, which remember the kind.
Welcome back, Truth Seekers. We'll get back to that flagellum possibly a little later. Jay, you haven't seen this film. Anything strike you that you'd like to make a comment about, or?
Boy, where did this information come from? And we're talking, what do we got? 6 foot of chromosomes in each cell? 6 foot with information in order to create, in order to make the proteins and amino acids. Where did the information come from? It's already there coded. Even Bill Gates, the quote up there, was recognized as being beyond his comprehension. So
he said one gene, and you've got you've got several thousand genes in the 46 chromosomes in each cell. So one gene, and yeah, go ahead.
This gets bigger and bigger and bigger when actually it gets smaller and smaller and smaller when you look at it. As far as the size. And we look at that, and we look inside that, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Where did this come from, Mike? Come on.
It came from God. It came from intelligence. But, you know, we can't, you got to stop and really think about it, folks. I mean, we can't see the cell with our eye. And all this information that stretches to 6 feet is in a small part of the cell in the nucleus, and we can't even see it, the cell, let alone the wrapped up information, let alone the fact that there's about 100,000 different protein machines, different ones, and thousands of copies of them, depending on the kind of cell we're talking about, between 30,000 to 100,000 protein machines in each cell in our body.
In each
cell. And thousands of copies of them, and all sorts of other things going on as well. It's a city in each cell, and it's just beyond, like you said, where does the information, it has to come from intelligence, because DNA, those that coded instructions, are a language. You know, it's like speaking English. I mean, it's writing down say it was English. It was writing down an English code in the cell to tell other parts of the cell what to do. And other parts have to be intelligent enough, pre-programmed, to read it and understand what to do with it and where to put everything. And it doesn't bollocks up, you know, it doesn't mess up usually. It just goes right on doing what it's doing. You know, that machine that we started the program with, that ATP building machine, we were talking about this last week. He got into it a little more in another angle than Jonathan Sarfati did, but he mentioned that there's 500 different protein machines in one of those ATP making machines. So 500 protein machines, each of which has maybe, the average protein machine has several hundred amino acids. 100 of them have to be in a fixed position roughly. So, and just getting one of those is impossible by scientific standards, by chance. Just one. There's 500 in that machine. 500 in that one machine. To get one is impossible. It's 10 to the 200th power, where 10 to the 50th power is considered impossible by all scientists. 10 to the 50th power goes beyond that. There's only 10 to the 80th power atoms in the entire universe. Not in our a galaxy, but the entire universe, all galaxies, there's only 10 to the 80th power of atoms, okay? And we're talking about the probability of getting one of these proteins out of that 500 protein machine is 10 to the 200th power. Way, way bigger than 10 to the 80th power of atoms in the entire universe. So, you know, it's utterly impossible, and that's why Sir Frederick Hoyle and even Francis Crick, they both agreed that this could not have arisen over time on Earth in 15 to 20 billion years. Even by chance, you don't have enough time to get the possible permutation. You don't even come close to one, let alone hundreds of them, let alone thousands of them. It's impossible. So what they say is, well, they didn't want to believe that there's an intelligence here that did it. So they want to put it far off, so they come up with this thing that they call, what is it, panspermia, directed panspermia, where life, the original cells, were put here on Earth by aliens. They'd rather believe that there's more evidence for aliens just based on the idea that there's so many stars and so many planets. There's got to be somebody out there. They must have done it because it couldn't have happened by chance. But they never talk about this much in science books and biology books. They don't talk about that. They just say it's a fact that we've evolved. They don't talk about the aliens that had to have... Well, if it's an alien intelligence, why not God? You know, God's pretty alien to us. He's so way above us. He says his thoughts are so high above our thoughts. It's like the heavens are as high above the earth. Infinity and space, his thoughts are so far. So why not him? I mean, that's pretty alien. I mean, having thoughts that we can't even imagine. You know, and then he gives us the evidence and prophecy and stuff that we've talked about. So many. By the way, if you're just tuning in, you haven't watched us before, we have a website, it's Truth Seekers. Guys will put it right up for you right now, hopefully. It's truthseekers.ws. There it is, the bottom of the screen. And we've got some great links, get into a lot of all this information. A lot of our former films are up there off the website, the video streamed. Some others are video streamed also on YouTube under Moab Edom, M-O-A-B-E-D-O-M, Moab Edom.
Intelligence beyond comprehension. Let's give Crick and his partner the benefit of the doubt.
Watson and Crick?
Watson and Crick. Okay, great Nobel scientists. Where did the aliens come from with this information?
Right.
And I want to bring it back to the basics, Mike. Scientifically, evidentially, something living can only come from something living.
Yeah, that's basically a law of science.
That is a law of science.
Louis Pasteur.
So the information, and we're looking at the information inside one cell.
Right.
So the information that came from the first living cell, wherever it came from, I'm just throwing it out there, was already coded with this complex information that these mathematicians can't even grab a hold of.
No.
Other than 10 to the 200th power.
The code is way beyond the comprehension of man.
Bill Gates can't code this kind of stuff in his computer.
No. You know, we were talking about this last week when Brandon was here, and what we mentioned, as we've mentioned in the past before, and you recall this, is that the codes are not even linear. We'll be right with you, Roberto. The codes are, you know, they thought initially that you'd have a code that's so complex, but it's written across, you know, like you'd read writing. But it goes forwards and backwards in 3D, and it changes, and it's like, it's just way beyond our comprehension. We've talked about that before. Let's grab Roberto with that and hold that thought. Roberto, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good. What would you like to share with us?
Well, the idea of existence of God, and the way which I guess that both of you are trying to defend that proposal, that statement, it seems to lack a little bit of like scientific facts. First, because you're trying to defend solidly on the fact that there is a scientific explanation for it, and I think that the existence of God cannot be defined or defended.
Well, let's stop right there, Roberto. You made a great point, and I was an agnostic atheist until I was about 29, and so I believed that from the age of 12 to 29, and so many others do, and I think to respond to it, Roberto, and then we'll put you back online, is that the evidence. There is incredible evidence, scientific evidence even. Isaac Newton said that science is based on what we see.